Now, some relatives of people currently receiving treatment for COVID-19 have told JoyNews about the ostracization they have been enduring in recent weeks. According to them, the duration from especially people they regard as friends and even family has become unbearable. JoyNews' Justice Bedu in this report tells the story of how coronavirus has transformed friends into foes.
They started telling the people who ride the motorbikes to go and spread the news.
This child has asked me to hide his identity. He says he's been through hell, and even though he looks scared, he wants the world to know his story. Hopefully, that changes something.
You don't know that you have gotten some, so you will not be talking about people soon.
I'll call him Oko. Oko's father is one of the people who are currently receiving treatment for coronavirus. Since his father was taken to hospital, he himself and others in his home have tested negative. But that has not spared him scorn from people who used to be friendly neighbors.
Now ever, no one comes to our shop to come and buy anything. As a result of that, my father asked my grandmother to close the shop. If people see that one of the people in this house has gone out, they'll even run away, or sometimes they'll be watching you, or sometimes they'll be mocking you.
These two sisters have also invited me into their home to tell me their story. They too have a brother receiving treatment for COVID-19. The attacks they faced has forced them to shut their food vending business. They've asked the 4 workers they work with to go home, and they've also stopped going to the market because since the rumor went out, everyone who meets them runs away.
The way they are treating us, it's as if we are the ones with the disease. You need to be tough to go through this. The whole town has been told not to come close to us. They do not even buy from us again.
I've lost most of my friends because of this problem. And I don't know what is coming ahead. Whether if school reopen, I'll work or not, I don't know.
From far away, somewhere in Europe, this woman too reached out with a familiar story.
Someone has been around the community and then the neighboring community to tell them that we've all contracted the virus. So
her family back in Ghana has been through the same trauma, and even outside the borders of Ghana, she feels the heat too. Over Skype, she had a message.
I would plead with our government. They should also focus informing the general public about stigma, because the disease or the virus might not kill the person, but the stigma might.
This week will be a critical one in Ghana's fight against coronavirus, according to the government. But it seems there's a disease that is even more critical that the country is yet to pay attention to: stigma. Justice Bedu, JoyNews, Accra.
Such a sad story there, but I've been joined on the phone lines by Dr. Yafia Kenton Brenya, who is the senior lecturer and the social psychologist at the Department of Psychology at the University of Ghana, on the issue of stigmatization and related issues. Doc, thank you very much for your time here on Newsdesk. You've written extensively on behavioral and attitudinal issues that COVID-19 presents to us. You touch on the issue of stigma and how it leads to psychological challenges, plus its negative effect on the fight against the disease. Tell us more on that.
Thank you, Ernest, for having me. In general, stigma is usually a negative perception and connotation to a situation or a person based on the perceived deviation from the norm or out of the ordinary. So if you look at the cases that you just listed, and in this particular case, COVID-19. It's a disease that almost everybody is afraid of. And therefore, when, unfortunately, you are infected, people tend to equate you with the disease. And therefore, whatever fear, anxiety that is associated with the disease, they tend to transfer it to you. Not only that, when you are stigmatized, people tend to shine you not only today, but if you are not lucky, for a long time to come. So that's my introductory remark.
And that has played out in the story that we had my colleague Justice Bedu tell us a while ago. But how exactly does this affect the fight against the spread of COVID-19?
It might affect it in a number of ways. One, if I know that I'll be stigmatized, I'll be rejected, people will be pointing fingers at me, which in the long run will affect my self-esteem, then if there's a way I can hide without letting people know that I have the symptoms, I'll do that. So when that happens, it means I can infect so many people without seeking help. However, in this case, because of what we've been told that coughing is involved and also difficult in breathing, most people will be compelled to come out. However, if they don't come out early and they get to the final stage, by that time they would have infected a number of people. So the first challenge is people not reporting. The second one is people, when they get to know, instead of they helping you, calling the number for you, taking you to the relevant place, they will move away from you. And that can exacerbate your case. In essence, the information they've given us aimed at helping us to protect ourselves and not to spread may be negated.
Very interesting points you make there. I'm looking at your article and you say there's an urgent need for us for the ongoing communication to address the issue of stigma. How should this issue be practically addressed, especially with communication? What can government do?
Okay, one angle of stigma is that sometimes people think that you have brought it on yourself based on certain unacceptable or deviant behavior you have engaged. Fortunately for us, in this context, it is not like HIV/AIDS, and even that is not only people we perceive to be just running around, in quotes, because there are other factors. So coming back to this, fortunately, as I said, it is not a disease or illness that you bring it to yourself because you have engaged in certain behavior that is society perceived as negative, is illegal, unacceptable. So that is the first point for the communicators to hold on, that it is not the fault of someone, what sometimes we refer to in psychology as a just world hypothesis. People think that people get what happened to them, they deserve it. But this is not that point. So we need to hit that strongly, that is a illness or a virus that no one has control over. So accidentally, you can have it through no fault of yours. That is one. Then two, to also hit the point that every other person is at risk. So while you are pointing your finger at someone, counting that person, running away from that person, what if you get it? Will you be happy if people do that to you? Then the third point will be that we now know what we can do to at least stay away. And that's the more reason why we should go by what the ministry have told us. Regular washing of hands with soap, running water, use of sanitizers, social distance. In other words, don't get to where they are grouped, they are crowded and all that. And even if it becomes very necessary to be there, make sure you keep the physical distance away from the people around you.
Doc, as we wrap up on this, what are some of the other behavioral and attitudinal changes that this disease and these times would bring to us that we should be wary of?
One is the issue of hand washing, which is one of the key things that will prevent all of that. It's not everybody who on a regular basis washes his or her hands. Some people, even before they eat desserts, dip their finger or their hand in the water. Yeah. It's afterwards that they do. So those who have not formed that habit, they need to step out their action. Other people around them should ensure or just encourage them to do it, because one of the surest way. The other attitude we need to work with, now that we are in a lockdown and most companies are also working from homes and all that, we're going to have more time on our hands, which is likely to lead to boredom. So we need to engage in a lot of things that will help us to, for instance, all of us have things that we would have wanted to do, but because of lack of time, this is an opportunity for us to do. To read more books, get more vocabulary, read the Bible, read the Quran, learn how to cook a meal, play games with family, bond with the children, and several other things we can think of.
Indeed, looking at the brighter side of this challenge, thank you very much, Dr. Yafia Kintin. He is a senior lecturer and a social psychologist at the University of Ghana.